That was our dog. He was a real good rat dog. Jippy was his name.
Okay.
And he could catch more rats than you could shake a stick at. And this goat, shortly thereafter, he lost his life. What happened, our grandpa Colgan, he decided one time that his grandchildren needed a goat. And he raised a lot of sheep, and he had goats with the sheep because the billy goats would protect the sheep from the wolves.
Oh, wolves.
Oh,
really?
they'd fight a wolf.
You had wolves on the farm back then.
Well, this was over Peoria, where Grandpa lived. He lived along the Illinois River there, and there was some wolves and stuff along there, and they had trouble with them. And he was a big sheep herder, and he always had goats with him. So what happened? He decided that his grandsons needed a pet goat. So he showed up one Sunday morning. We go to mass, and we come home, and the goat is standing in the kitchen looking out at us. And he walked right through the screen door, and he was in the kitchen, and he messed everything up. And Mom looked at Dad, and they kind of exchanged views. So the next day, we could never find the goat. He was gone.
And did they try to explain, or?
Never explained it.
You didn't need any explanation.
He ran away, or something happened to him. We didn't know. And later years, finally, they told us that he took him out behind the barn and shot him because he was getting into everything. We'd play with him, and we'd get down in the orchard there, and we'd play with him, and he'd grab this by the horns, and we'd shake him and make him real mad. Then we'd run, and all us kids would run every different directions and climb these trees. He's in the orchard, and he'd try to get the butt somebody, you know. So he got to be kind of a pest. So that was the end of him. I would say it was probably. I'd probably 7 or 8 years old.
Because look at your getup. Is this like a cowboy outfit or something? Chaps or
cowboy outfit. That was what they called the wash house.
Okay.
That's where your grandma had her washing machines, and there was a big ice box out there where they put ice in. They'd come and deliver ice, and they'd take it in and throw 100-pound blocks of ice in this ice box. And that was our refrigeration in those days. So, prior to that, the farmers used to store, like butter and things like that. They'd lower them into the well, and the cool water would, keep them fairly cool. And this well is still there, but the windmill part is gone. But it was about 100 feet deep, I think. And this was Jippy, our dog. He was a great pet, and a great rat dog. We raised hogs, and the sows, and they had what they call the McLean County system of sanitation. And what you do, they take out you'd wall off a section, or you'd fence off a section, about 10 acres, and you'd put hog houses out there, single units for the sows, and each one would take one, and that's where they'd have their young. Well, it got so you'd have to go out there and feed them, and of course then they would attract the rats and the mice, and they'd stay and live under these houses. So then we'd come with this dog after long in about September, October, the end of summer, and we'd go out there and we'd jack up these hog houses, and the rats come running out, and he'd catch them. Boy, he could really catch them. So he was a great rat terrier.
And then he'd just, snap their necks and leave them there or
He
something?
just ran and grabbed them and flip them up in the air, and with that motion, he'd break their necks.
And just get as many as he could.
Oh, he'd get them. And they called the 4-H clubs. And that was one of the contests they had for a number of years. And what you'd do, you'd cut the rat's tail off and put it into a can and save it, and then you go to the 4-H meeting, and then they'd count the tails, and then they'd count sparrows. At night you go and there was a flashlight into the barn and flash around, and the sparrows would fly towards the light, and you'd hit them we used tennis rackets, we'd hit them and kill them, They cut their heads off and throw them into these cans. We had all these rat tails and sparrow heads in these cans. So our aunt come over from Peoria, Aunt Sarah, she's my mother's youngest brother, or youngest sister. And so she's over, and we had those cans all lined up on a little ledge there along by the cave. And she says, "What do you boys got there?" We said, "Oh, well, we're in this contest at the 4-H club, and we're going to win it, you know." So she says, "Well, what do you got in there?" And well, she said, "We'll show you." And we took a screwdriver and we pried the lid off, and the thing was just boiling with these worms. And she took one up, she practically threw off, ran in the house, or she could go. So then we had to go to this 4-H meetings, and the guy that was the leader of the 4-H club, he said, "Now, okay, we're going to declare who's the winner in this contest. We're ridding the neighborhood of sparrows and rodents and stuff." So we go into this meeting, we carry all these cans in there, and of course, my brother and I, and one of the neighbor kids, the three of us were in it together. And so we go and put all these cans out, and he says, "Oh, now what do you got there?" "Well, these are all sparrow heads, these are rat tails, and everything." So I said, "Well, we'll have to count them, you know." Pries the lid off and take one, puts the lid on, said, "You're a winner." He couldn't count anything. So we won the contest.